Today in Becca's Bakery, we'll be making a tomato paste, which I just discovered how to make. It uses the whole tomato cooked to a thick sort of like chutney or jam consistency, but it's savory. It's really great for pizzas, for pastas, or you can even use it for sandwiches. It's really tasty. It's a bit like sun-dried tomatoes, but it's cooked at a higher temperature, so it doesn't have the exact same taste, but it does have a really high amount of flavor in there. You're going to need whole tomatoes. I just got like a lot of tomatoes, and then I have about 4.5 boughs of garlic, and I'm going to be using a little bit of soy sauce and about a cup of oil, mixed oils. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure a third of a cup of lemon juice. Then I'm going to need about 3/4 of a cup of oil. I'm going to use a mixture of olive oil. If you can use all olive oil, that's the best thing, but I'm just going to mix olive oil with vegetable oil. Now, you may notice that I'm not putting any salt or black pepper or Italian herbs, which you will put in when you cook. I'm just not going to do it now because I want to season the actual food when I use the paste. The paste now is just going to be seasoned with the mixture of oils, about 1/2 to 3/4, about a cup of oil. Just put that one side. It's going to be seasoned by about 1/3 cup of lemon juice, or you can use vinegar, just something that isn't too strong. I used apple cider vinegar once and it worked fine. So, and then you're going to put just a dash of soy sauce or a Worcestershire sauce. Either way, I think a dash of soy sauce works well for me. And then later when I cook, I put in 3 essentials, which are Italian herbs and black pepper and salt, which, yes. Later when I cook, I'm also going to put in the most important mirepoix or something, the 3 most important vegetables, which are onions first, caramelized onions, celery, and carrots. Onions, celery, carrots, and these will go in when I actually do the cooking. This is just preparing the paste, which is actually pretty good for sandwiches or for fish or anything, just any use for cooking. So basically, this paste should be combined with salt, black pepper, and Italian herbs, and should be combined with the 3 most important vegetables, which are onions, celery, and carrots. When making pasta sauces and things like that, it's really good with chicken as well as beef, and the sauce can be used to make red pesto. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the tomatoes, and while I'm preparing the tomatoes, I'm just going to put these boughs of garlic. I'm going to roast them. That's not completely necessary, but I'm going to roast them because it makes them really easy to peel and gives them a really nice sort of mellow flavor, not like sharp, bitter sort of tang of fresh garlic, just mellow sort of roasted taste that really brings out the flavor of the tomatoes, that the tomatoes stand out. So I'm just gonna have a bite. You want it to be sweet, sour, tangy, and full of tomato flavor. I put the whole tray of garlics into the oven toaster to grill. So now I'm going to be preparing the tomatoes. The garlic would just go in for about 5 minutes when it smells ready. About 5 minutes. So first thing I'm going to do is quarter that. These are all washed tomatoes. I'm going to quarter it like that. And each of these quartered pieces I'm going to cut a little bit off the top to remove this part where the stem joins the tomato. This ensures as little wastage as possible. Just cut that out. And I'm going to go ahead and put these in my pan, skin side down, so that the juices will not, just gonna go like that. For half the tomatoes, I'm going to cut them like this. For the other half of the tomatoes, I'm actually going to just take them like that and squeeze them. just to show you, I'm going to take them and squeeze them so that the liquid comes out. And you may have to add a little bit of water in when the tomatoes are cooking, just so that it doesn't dry too fast, doesn't burn. And if at any point your tomatoes are burning, just add a little bit of water and it will cook into the stew. You don't need to cut them very finely because they're gonna cook down. So just like that, and then I'm going to pour the oil in and turn on the stove. I'm going to put this pan on the stove, and as the tomatoes cook, I'm going to add in more tomatoes as I cut them up. So basically, you don't have to worry I have to cut like the whole basket of tomatoes and then only pour it in. No, I'm going to actually just cut and put in the fire. So that's half a cup of oil for now. And then all I'm going to need is just a spatula to sort of push it around the pan. Probably going to use like this will do. Just put it there and let the tomatoes cook. Alright, so I cut a few more and I'm just going to add them in. I've got my stove auto exhaust fan on now, and I'm just stirring this around because it can get stuck in the bottom. I'm cooking it at pretty high heat, but I'm just going to turn down the heat. Now you want it to be boiling, and you want it to be boiling busily so that there'll be evaporation. So now the tomatoes have cooked down pretty well. I've got them on the simmer now. You can see that most of this is actually pulp, some of it is solid tomato. You don't have to worry about going and getting every single one of these like squashed and turned to pulp. You just let it cook a little bit more. Now we want all of this to become a thick paste. It's going to take some time. I'm going to put in the soy sauce now. You don't want too much soy sauce, but you do want to give it a sort of dark color as well as a depth of flavor, just to add to the tastiness. Alright, so I've got the garlic peeled. Not all of them are really very roasted. It's just roasted and just pliable, but still soft on the inside. You can roast them a little bit more, just make sure they're not burnt. Roasting the garlic is an optional step. Now pressing the garlic is an optional step. You could just chop it up. You could just throw it in whole. I just want to chop it in so I get a uniform paste. I want to press it so I get a uniform paste. Now here's the most important stage of the cooking process, where I'm going to turn the heat up to high, but first I'm going to add in the last of the ingredients, which will be the garlic paste. Add that all in, and then I'm going to turn up the fire till it's really hot, and we're going to cook down. So this is the time for sort of rapid cooking. Because it's so thick, it's gonna bubble ferociously and sometimes even float up the bubbles. So here, there you go. So I'm going to use gloves for safety reasons, because I do not want to get burned. Here we go, and we just keep stirring that around until it cooks all the way down to thick. Now I haven't been standing at the stove all the time. I've just come and stirred the tomato for the last like half an hour or so. I just happened to be in the kitchen and I just stirred it. Just stirred it every like 5 minutes or so. Make sure it does not get stuck. And now it's become thick. Now it's become a very regular, consistent pulp. So we're going to really have to work that down to a paste. This is going to require constant attention and lots of high heat. At this point, you really have something that you could use pretty much for a pasta sauce. You could add in you could just get another pot and just fry onions and all that together, and then you add this in, and you can also add pesto, olive oil, fresh herbs like basil, and salt, pepper. That will become a pasta sauce, but I'm just going to cook it down and I'm going to make sort of like a red pesto sauce. These are really, really thick. Not completely dry, but a really thick paste. You can form sort of solid masses. You can continue to dry it, but what I would do if you want to keep on drying it is just add in a little bit of oil at a time. That's about half a cup of oil. The paste is so solid that oil is just not mixing in, it's just milk, which means you can cook the paste even further. Add in the oil too early, you don't want to add it in too late. This is the perfect time to add in the oil and cook further. And here you go. I believe in that. I'm just going to avoid the sides, which are burned, of course, and going to let this cool. You can cook it further, I think. This is very, very pleasing, and I don't want to risk burning it too much. This is totally amazing. I'm just loving the flavor now. It's so tasty. It tastes like tomato. It tastes almost like sun-dried tomato, and it's so good, so much. Really, nothing that I've added in really stands in the way of just the pure tomato flavor that you get from creating this paste. If you want a tomato paste that is like much cleaner, much more refined, of course I will not serve it looking like this in a hotel or something, but that would require you to peel the tomatoes and would require you to get the seeds removed, and then you have a much more refined paste. But for now, this is like in all its rustic glory.